All right, we're going to be doing Algebra 1 review notes. For the final. All right, Algebra 1 review notes, going over stuff for the final. Let's do something pretty straightforward like solving for a variable. So why don't you solve this equation? 2x plus 4 equals 20. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to solve for x. We're just trying to solve this equation. So my first step is to subtract 4 from both sides, and I get 2x equals 16. Now, if you remember, one of the things I used to do is keep the equal sign in the same place the whole way. My next step is to divide both sides by 2. And, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Zach, you're right. You got it. X equals 8. So there is the basics for solving an equation. Let's say you have, let's do it one more. So you have x divided by 3 minus 2 equals 5. X divided by 3 minus 2 equals 5. Okay, what's my first step? Correct. I add 2. If I add 2, I get 7. Zach, what's my next step? Multiply both sides by 3. So that cancels out. X equals 21. For the final, you're going to have to write a box around each of your answers. So make sure you get used to that. Okay. The test is going to be open note. It is also going to be open book. You can't use like apps or things like that, but you can use whatever in your notes, and you could use your student journal also. For today's assignment, you're going to get 10 points for handing in these notes. So if you hand in what I do on the board, you're going to get a quick 10 points. All right. How about if we're solving for absolute value? So let's say I have 2x plus 3. 2x plus 3 equals 11. The absolute value of 2x plus 3 equals 11. Well, what I have to do is I have to turn this into, since it's absolute value, I need to write 2 separate equations. 2x plus 3 equals 11, and 2x plus 3 equals negative 11. So don't forget that. When you're dealing with absolute value, you have to reverse this side. Okay. Then you just solve each of those, and for absolute value ones, you will most of the time have 2 answers. 2x equals 8. Divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals 4. Now, please don't, as some students do, they write x equals 4 and x equals -4. As you'll see, that's not the answer. 2x equals -14. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. X equals -7. So some folks, one of you students here, would always get one answer and then just say, oh, it equals the opposite of that one. So it's x equals 4 and x equals -4. It does not. You have to solve both of those equations to get your answer. So x, to solve this problem, x can either equal 4 or it can equal -7. Now, what if I had an absolute value where some of the things were inside and some of the things were outside? So let's say I have -2 plus 4 times 2x plus 8 equals 50. Let's say I had this problem. Oh, wait, I'm going to change that. Let me see. I'll change that problem. Okay. So I'm going to do 50. Oh, no, that works. Okay, let's see if this works. So in order to do this absolute value problem, I have to get rid of this stuff that's outside the absolute value before I turn it into two different problems. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And I get 4 times the absolute value, 2x plus 8, equals 52. And now what I have to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Yep. You can't add like terms because some of these terms are inside the absolute value and some are outside. So if you have an absolute value, you cannot add like terms. You have to get it all the way down to where you have the absolute value on one side, 2x plus 8, and the rest on the other side. No, because it's 4 times the absolute value. And 6 times that absolute value is totally different. Does that make sense? I'll do this. -2 plus 4 times 3. If I added these two, so how I would normally do this problem, how I'm supposed to do this problem is -2 plus 12, so I get 10. What you're suggesting is that I combine these two. So I get exactly. Yes, the absolute value is like a parentheses. That's a good. So now that I have it at this point where the absolute value is on one side, I can turn it into my two problems. 2x plus 8 equals 13. 2x plus 8 equals -13. -8 minus 8. 2x equals 5. Excuse me. And then I divide by 2. So x equals 5/2. On this side, subtract 8 from both sides, I get 2x equals -21. Divide by 2. And I get x equals -21/2. So if you're going to solve for an absolute value, you have to get the absolute value. You have to isolate the absolute value first. Okay. Give me a thumbs up when I can erase that. Good? Okay. I want to move on a little bit quickly since we're recording this. You can always go back and in the video. All right. What happens if you have, let's solve one more problem. What happens if you have 5 times 3x plus 2 equals 15x minus 3. The first step to solving this is you're going to distribute. So you get 15x, oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that, plus 10 equals 15x minus 3. Subtract 15x from both sides, and I get that equals 0. So I have 10 equals negative 3. So this one has no solutions. So Cody, we're just going over the notes for the final. Your homework for today is just going to be hand in pictures of these notes that we take from today. You'll get your 10 points. And then we'll do our final tomorrow. You're going to have to write a sentence that's an inequality. So let's say we had something like let's say 6 more than x is less than 20. So we have 6 and then more than x. So 6 plus x, and then we have is less than, oops, so we have is less than, so that equals is less than 20. 6 plus x is less than 20. And if you had a little part in here that said less than or equal to, if you have that or equal to, you have to put that in there. Again, if you need these for longer, I'll put the video up right after class. Solving inequalities and graphing them on a number line. 5x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 2x plus 10. So we have to solve this. Let's go minus 2x. Three x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 10 minus 3. So we have 3x is greater than or equal to 7. Divide by 3. We have x. is greater than or equal to 2 1/3. So I go to 2 1/3 and I fill it in because it's equal to. There it is. X is greater than or equal to 2 1/3. If you have an inequality, say you've got this. And we'll say this is 0, -5, -10. And we'll say your graph looks like this. So your x value is going to be greater than, so this would be -7, -1. So x is less than -7. So x is less than -7, and x is greater than -1. So if you were to write an equation for that, it would look like that. So you're going to have to write an inequality. All right, deleting. So functions. Every x value has one and only one y value. So here's examples of functions. So this is a function. This is a function. And this is not a function. And the way we could check is the vertical line test. If you were to take a vertical line and run it across on this last one, if you took a vertical line like this, and does it cross 2 points at any one time? Well, yep, it crosses 2 points right there and there, there and there, there and there. So it crosses 2 points, so it is not a function. But this one, if I were to draw my vertical lines anywhere, it only crosses 1 point, only crosses 1 point. So those pass, those are functions. All right. Remember point slope form. Linear equation. Linear equations. Point slope form. y equals mx plus b. M equals slope, b equals y intercept. If I had a line I had y equals 2/3 x minus 1. So my slope equals 2/3. My y-intercept is -1. So I would start right here, and I would go up 1, 2 over 3. Up 1, 2 over 3. There it is. Not the best line and not the best graph, but you get the idea. All right. That was point slope form. The other one is what is this called? Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is point slope form. That's what this one is. The other one, I lied to you. The other one was point intercept form. This is point slope form. And the last one was point intercept form. And so this one, the way you do it is if they gave you a point 3, 2, and they gave you a slope 1/2, you would plug those in. So you'd have y minus 2 equals 1/2 times x minus 3. You could finish this off if you wanted to. You could distribute this. So you have y minus 2 equals 1/2 x minus 1.5. You could add 2. Y equals 1/2 x plus 0.5. So I turn my point slope form into point intercept form. What do you know about parallel slopes? Parallel slopes are equal. 2/3 is parallel to 2/3. Perpendicular slopes are opposite reciprocals. So 2/3 is perpendicular to negative 3/2. Midpoint formula. Midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. There's your midpoint formula. Distance formula, which we just went over today, is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Now it doesn't matter. Does it matter which one I call x2? It only matters in that whatever one you start out this one with, you have to do this one also. So if I have 3, 4, and negative 1, 2, if I put this one here, then I have to put the 4 first here. Or if I choose to use the negative 1 here, then I have to use the 2 right here. So just remember that which one is x2 doesn't matter, except that you have to use the same ones at the beginning of each. Okay. We have to do like a solving with elimination or substitution. So find a good example. So let's say you have 2x minus y equals 5. You have 5x plus y equals 16. So if I'm going to solve by elimination, I'm just going to add these two together, because right here I have a negative y and a positive y, so that's just going to equal 0. Since that's going to equal 0, I'm just going to do this. 7x, oops, (7x) plus 0 equals 21. So x equals 3. Then I take that and I just plug it back in. So I get 5 times 3 plus y equals 16. 15 plus y equals 16. Y equals 1. So now that my x equals 3, my y equals 1. And I'm going to throw it into one of these to check. So I have 2 times 3 minus 1 equals 5. So this is the one I use, 2x minus y. So I have 6 minus 1 equals 5. 5 equals 5. Checks out. So that was elimination. Let's do substitution. Solving systems of linear equations. Substitution. So if you have this, x minus 2y equals negative 3, and then y equals x plus 1. What I'm going to do with solving by substitution is I'm going to plug this in for my y. So what I get is x minus 2 times x plus 1. That's where I plugged this in. Equals negative 3. Then I distribute this negative 2 times x would be negative 2x. And then negative 2 times 1 would be negative 1. That's pretty ugly. So x minus 2x minus 1 equals negative 3. Combine my like terms. X minus 2x is negative 1x. Minus 1 equals negative 3. Plus 1. Negative x equals negative 2. I can't have a negative x, so I have to multiply both sides by negative 1. And I get x equals 2. Now I'm going to plug that right here. Y equals 2 plus 1. Y equals 3. Now I'm going to plug both of these back in to check my answer. 3 equals 2 plus 1. So I plugged it back into here. 3 equals 3. That checks out. All right, you're going to have to graph a couple ones, which I showed you the graph earlier. And then you're going to want to know some vocabulary. What does collinear mean? Points on same line. Rays. Have one endpoint and go on forever other direction. That's a ray. All right. Any questions on that? All right. I'm going to go open up an assignment. Let me just hand in your notes.